Welcome to the Up in the Nosebleeds podcast with your hosts, Max Ralph and Zach Swain. Here you'll get a bird's eye view of your favorite sports, just like you get from a nosebleed seat. Welcome to the Up in the Nosebleeds podcast in our second episode here. I'm Max here with Zach, and today we've got quite a few things to cover, honestly, and we're going to try and do it faster than last week. That would have been a little bit long on us for the first episode, but forgive us, please. Thank you. But today we want to do some deep dives into a couple different topics. And first, I think it makes sense to just recap this tournament. And I think we can I think everybody gets a pass on the absolute monstrosity that happened this past weekend. But I wouldn't go back and listen to our first episode because it's just not worth it at this point. But who was your biggest surprise from the first two rounds, Zach?
Oral Roberts.
I think that's the obvious choice.
Yeah, I was definitely not expecting that, especially for them to win two games.
I will say, I think I mentioned last week that I didn't think that we were going to have a 15-2 upset, but I think I did mention that if anybody was going to do it, it was Oral Roberts because they had the nation's leading scorer. And, well, I wish I would have listened to my own words, but I did that on a few other occasions. And moral of the story is trust your gut, kids, when it comes to picking brackets. But yeah, I think Oral Roberts is the easy choice. But honestly, I've been really surprised by the way that Syracuse has been playing. I mean, you were riding the orange pretty hard, and you were pretty confident that they could get here. But I really didn't think they'd put on a clinic like they did against San Diego State and much less West Virginia.
Yeah, I saw this coming. I knew Buddy was going to come out, and like I said, he could drop 30 any night, and that's exactly what he did. I don't think he actually started the year shooting like 25% from three, like the first 10 games or something like that, Jim Boeheim said. So obviously he told his son something, and he's got that jumper going through the net pretty often now. So
yeah, I never thought in a million years that West Virginia would get manhandled like that. I mean, it's one thing for the 11 to upset a 6, but I really thought West Virginia had a good team. But that brings us to another point. I mean, the Big 10 and the Big 12, which were like widely regarded as like easily the best two conferences in basketball and some of the strongest conferences we've had, like top to bottom in NCAA basketball history, honestly. And now each conference only has one team standing left. What happened?
I don't know. Maybe the Big Ten was stuck in Indianapolis too long for that Big Ten tournament, and now March Madness. So maybe that has something to do with it. They're kind of tired of being stuck up in the, cornfield section of the United States. But
yeah, middle of nowhere.
I don't know. Yeah,
I think it's the Mackey Arena jitters. I think they're all scared.
Yeah, there's definitely something going on. Big Ten,
Matt Painter cursed that place, but then he couldn't get the job done himself. So what good did it do him?
Yeah, I was definitely not expecting that to happen.
All right, so who's taking it?
Well, like I was saying before, I think it's Gonzaga. At this point, I don't think it's even close anymore. No one's playing as well as Gonzaga, and to me, they never had anyone competing with them in the beginning, in my opinion. But just to see how the other teams have kind of, fallen apart a little bit, like Iowa and Baylor seems to be a little slow, but especially Illinois, I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, I'm still running with the Zags to win it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gonzaga is far and away the best team left in the field, but I mean, what can you say? I mean, I thought that I don't have words. This has been one of the craziest tournaments that I can remember, period. And I don't know, maybe that's just because we didn't play.
It is said that this is the most upsets that there's ever been so far.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's likely we have a double-digit seed go to the Final Four. Like, I mean, that happened in 2018 with Loyola, but like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just because we didn't play last year, but this has been insane to me. And I mean, I'm angry. One, if you follow my Twitter, I am angry and I'm angry and I'm angry and I'm going to be angry again this weekend, but I'm soaking it all in. I think Gonzaga is way ahead of the pack too, but at this point, Oregon looked like world beaters against Iowa. I mean, Chris Duarte.
Yeah, they had fresh legs.
Yeah, I mean, they got the bye, but in a lot of ways, I often see that as kind of a disadvantage because I think playing is, I mean, as long as it's not like a ridiculous amount of days in a row, I think playing is it's good for a team. But I don't know. Maybe Oregon upsets Gonzaga, but I think right now Gonzaga is the best team. Honestly, probably they always were, but still, I could have never expected all of this. I will say I did pick OU right, and that's the one I'm gonna write. I'm gonna take my check and cash that one and leave it there. So,
man, they were chucking up bricks. I had them going to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, you had them beating Creighton too, and maybe I don't know.
They were chucking bricks. They had a Zion incident, so it must have been some sort of.
It was bad juju.
Yeah, there was something going on there. Also, I think Sister Jean's taking Loyola.
Yeah, she put a hex on. She put a hex on Illinois. Yes. You can't change my mind. I think I don't know. Her pregame prayers are dangerous. There's magic in those words, and I'm terrified. Honestly,
who knows? Maybe Loyola Chicago versus Gonzaga is the matchup we've wanted all along, not Gonzaga Illinois.
If they're playing on a Sunday, Loyola Chicago's winning, and that's hands down. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, Cameron Krutwig is just like he gets like divine intervention, and like if they're playing on Sunday, it's over. They don't lose. All right, I think we had enough fun with that segment, but I want to talk about some NFL free agency, and this is going to be actually. Hold on, I forgot to mention the reports and the evidence and the pictures and whatnot of. I know you saw it of the women's weight rooms compared to the men's weight rooms. And then I saw another Twitter thread this week for March Madness in that the NCAA media profile, the website where you get a log of quotes and pictures, and it's filled with men's stuff, but nothing from the women's tournament is being added there until the Sweet 16. I understand that the men's tournament brings in more money, but it's just wrong, and something needs to change.
Yeah, well, the thing is with women's basketball, the higher seeded teams, the big time teams, UConn, all of them, they bring in the super talented players, and it's just really when you're lacking super jumping abilities that, a lot of guys have, who make it onto the NBA or just in the NCAA for men's basketball. It's just different. Shaq was saying that he thinks that they should lower the rims to half an inch, like 9.5 maybe, because then they could be able to dunk more, which would bring more viewers, which I think is an interesting debate on whether they should lower the rims or not.
I think that's interesting, but I don't think that's what we're trying to get at here. I mean, did you see the pictures of the weight room? I mean, they got I wouldn't home rack of dumbbells.
Weight room, yeah.
Yeah, they had a home set of dumbbells and 6 yoga mats. I mean,
yeah, I got more weights in my basement, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous. I don't care if the men bring in more money. This is a failure by the NCAA, and it has been for a while. And something needs to change. I mean, I've seen too many pictures of the weight rooms, and the swag bags that the women have gotten. Like, they got like a water bottle. Meanwhile, the men get masks and these super nice bags, and they get like, I saw somebody got a like free book. Like, I don't know. And the women are getting a water bottle. It's ridiculous and kind of disgusting. And honestly, it's not surprising because there's been a trend lately, but it's just unfair. Bottom line, I don't care who brings in more money, but
it's definitely messed up. They need to find a way to fix that problem they're having. They actually came out and saying it wasn't about money, which, if that's the case, then you really got a problem on your hands.
Yeah, what's it about then?
Yeah.
What's it about then? It's just blatant misogyny?
Yes. They were saying, oh, money's not a problem, which there's no way. They need to find a way to bring in more viewers. And the way to do that is, I think, to lower the rims just a little bit, not too much, because I do think that will bring more viewers to the game. Because another reason why the men's is getting a ton of, people, all the articles about men's, blah, 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 is you're seeing a ton of upsets and stuff like that. So far it's been the most upsets we've ever seen. Meanwhile, when you're looking at, the women's tournament, there is a lot of talented players, but the talented players are all stacked on, a certain amount of teams, to where the higher seeds are pretty much winning every single game. Teams like UConn and stuff like that are just smoking teams.
Yeah.
So they need to try to
there's not as much disparity as there is in the men's game. And it's odd to compare it to football, because even like mid majors get tons of money in football, but it's just like having the same 4 teams in the CFP every year. I mean, you've got the UConns and I don't know, Maryland has a really good team this year, but bottom line is it's just wrong. And definitely it needs a basis for change, and maybe a couple of changes to the game rules are what's needed, because something needs to happen there's no reason that these women aren't getting the viewers and support that they need, because I'll tell you, they're sure as hell better at basketball than I ever will be, but that's beside the point. Let's move on, not spend too much time there. Let's talk about a little bit more free agency for the NFL, like we did last week. Patriots still, I think, are winners of the offseason thus far. The Bears, I don't even know where to go with the Bears. I mean, they released Kyle Fuller. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Dude, they needed to free up that money for Andy.
Yeah. And now there's reports that they could still add 2 more quarterbacks this offseason. I don't even know what to say about this situation aside from sell the team. I'm upset, and I think even somebody who's not a Bears faithful can see that this is just a failing franchise. Unless Andy Dalton comes out and plays like he did in what was it, 2014 with Bill Lazor? I mean, he's got Bill Lazor now, so I mean, I guess all bets are off, but unless Andy Dalton comes out and puts together a winning season, this Bears franchise is going in the dumpster. That's not it. That's not the point. But the Patriots have been winners this season, so far. And I mean, what have you seen aside from what we talked about last week? And keep in mind, we'll hit the big stuff in a second.
Yeah, I'm liking what my Bengals are doing. They finally got an offensive lineman in Riley Reif.
Yeah, that's a big signing.
Joe Burrow, I give him credit for that one. He invited him out to a steak dinner. So without that steak dinner, I don't
Joey
know
B's flexing that number 1 contract.
Yep, Joey's a people's person. He was at the OU game yesterday. Supposedly he bought shots for all the Ohio University kids after they pulled that upset against Virginia. But now with that now signing Reif, that opens up the Bengals option in the draft. They can take Kyle Pitts now, who is, in my opinion, he's he's a George Kittle or Travis Kelce.
Yeah, they could definitely use another. They could definitely use one more playmaker on the offensive end, especially at the tight end position. I mean, T. Higgins is really good. You assume Joe Mixon's going to be healthy, and he's shown that he can be the guy. I still think if they can get their hands on Penei Sewell, they have to take him. But
yes, I think that's who I'm hoping that's who we get. But if he is gone, it's not let's freak out a bunch because we did get Reef, who is, he's a guy, he's available, which the Bengals haven't had a lot of players that have been available, which is the problem.
Yeah.
He's been playing most of his career. He doesn't miss very many games. So Bengals fans won't go on a whole freak show if we don't get Sewell out of Oregon.
Yeah, right. I think they definitely need some help on the defensive end still, but I've been honestly impressed by the spending this offseason because that's not something the Bengals have really ever done. I think the Giants have made some waves for some people the past day or two. They picked up Kenny Golladay and man, I'm blanking. They signed another cornerback like just yesterday because there's a former Patriot. Didn't they sign somebody? Or am I going crazy?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. I can't.
I might be wrong. I think I was just seeing rumors that they should sign J.C. Jackson because he could reunite with Logan Ryan, and maybe Logan Ryan was recruiting him or whatever. I don't know. But anyways, the Kenny Golladay signing is huge for them, and the Giants made a couple of waves at the end of the season last year when they beat the Seahawks in Week 15 or whatever it was, and they get Saquon Barkley back healthy, and they're a team that is going to be right up there in the spot to draft Sewell or Sewell, whatever. And I'm not sure they'll get him. I don't think they will, but if they bolster up their offensive line, they could have a really talented offense this year built up around Danny Dimes. But I definitely think they've made some waves. But let's talk about the big storyline, and it's Deshaun Watson. The counts are up to what? I think it's 14 as of today, and I think the one that came out today documented him as a serial sexual abuser or whatever. And I mean, at this point, when you have 14 different counts to your name, it's hard for me to even consider the possibility that they're not accurate and truthful. My question is, even aside from the punishment that he should receive from the NFL, what do you see in his trade value now?
Well, I did hear that the Bears may still be interested in trying to make a move at him.
I think the Bears were one of the teams that actually kind of lost interest after all this happened. I think not the Bills. That's the wrong name. I know that there was a handful of reports that were still in on him from, I think, Schefter, but I actually think the Bears were one of the teams that did drop out after these reports.
Yeah, as of 2 days ago, I know that most of the teams were, still bought in on him. I'm not sure as of today since, by the day he keeps getting more accusations filed against him. And supposedly, I think this is right. Most of them are all like massage people, like in that industry sort of thing. But yeah, I did not see this coming. Deshaun's always seemed like a respectable guy.
In front of the camera, and he's been. I definitely took me by surprise, but it's overwhelming at this point.
Yeah, it is. I'll be wondering where this goes. This could, if all these are true, this could end his career, which I
mean, I think if I'm an NFL GM, I look at his situation in Houston before this all happened. I don't blame him for wanting out of there. That place is a mess, and the way that ownership has treated him and promising him that he'd have a say in general manager and head coach decisions and then just blatantly not giving it to him is, first of all, an issue. But I don't blame him for this situation. But a lot of GMs in the NFL are I don't know how to put this delicately, but they don't like when drama goes on in their locker room. And so you take that and then you add this on. I mean, for the guy who is supposed to be the leader of your locker room, I think if I'm an NFL GM, I'm putting my sights elsewhere. I don't know. It's hard to. He's a generational talent, and if you put him on a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, I think he does just as well, if not better, than Patrick Mahomes, which is maybe blasphemous for some people to say. But he's an all-world talent. He's incredible. But I mean, this really worries me from an executive standpoint.
Yeah, here's something that is very, out there, or not out there, just in my head. An idea I was thinking of. Who knows how long it's going to take for all this to, settle out. Let's say he's stuck in Houston. These lawsuits or whatever are still going on, and what if his reputation gets shattered and no one wants to get him? What's going to happen from there? Will a guy like Bill Belichick, who has Cam Newton on a expiring deal, will he be the guy to say, all right, we'll give him a chance? We're not sure if, yeah.
What do you think about Bruce Arians pulling him in like an Antonio Brown case and saying after Brady's done, here, take the reins, kid? And I mean, crazier things have happened, but
this is really reminding me of the AB thing. It seems to kind of just slowly keep spiraling down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm worried about it because it's a bad look for the NFL. I mean, the NFL's had plenty of black eyes for years now, but this one for me is sticking out in general because of the situation that's already happened with the Texans and him wanting out. And I have another point. If I'm him, I feel like there's pressure on him to play in Houston this year. I don't know how you can have, I mean, maybe this is a convoluted view, but I don't know how you can have all these reports come out on you and then demand a trade out. And I mean, I wouldn't want you at this point until there's resolution to these cases. I would not be pursuing a trade. And then just to have this go against you on your record. And if it's true, I mean, there's 14 plus counts of this happening. And I mean, we talked about the women's NCAA mistreatment, but this is even on a whole nother level. And to have one of the names of the names in the NFL have this happen to him, and then to be demanding a trade out of Houston, I feel like there's pressure on him to not sit out from his contract at this point.
Yeah, now the Texans are kind of in a situation of, well, if he's still on our team, what do we do now? Will he want to sit out, or will he not be able to play due to these lawsuits? The Texans seem to have something going on because, they signed, or they got Tyrod Taylor, and they, just traded a 7th round pick to Cincinnati for Ryan Finley. So they got 2 or 3 quarterbacks now in that room.
Yeah.
And they might be preparing for something bigger down the road.
Yeah, I guarantee they're preparing for a what am I trying to say? For a breakup with Deshaun Watson. But if I'm an NFL GM, I don't know that I want him. Let's move on. Again, we don't want to make this too long like it was last week, and we have another deep dive topic to hit here, and we want to talk about a little bit of baseball. And spring training is coming to a close, and maybe next week we'll go ahead and give some predictions on the season. I think that's something we're very interested in doing. I mean, but the big storyline from the past week or so has been Trevor Bauer. Now, he has his own name and brand on social media, but you can think what you want about him. But supposedly the MLB issued him a warning about an undershirt that had his personal logo, and the conflict between personal branding with the MLB and its players. And there's been plenty of instances of the MLB not being as progressive as some of these other leagues, and not being in the stances that it needs to. But what do you make of this situation?
Well, I think this is another miss by the MLB. This is the letter. I actually have the letter that he got. He posted it on Twitter. It says, "Dear Trevor, this letter serves as an official warning that you have violated Major League Baseball's uniform regulation, attachment 19 to the basic agreement. Specifically, you violated Section D2, which prohibits you from having corporate identification or any other logos visible on any part of the undershirt, except for your club's logo, the Major League Baseball silhouette batter logo, or another logo jointedly approved by the Major League Baseball and the Players Association. An unauthorized logo was visible on your undershirt during your club's spring training games on March 6th.
Yeah.
And this, yeah, so it's a miss. Trevor Bauer, in my opinion, he's kind of carrying the branding of players on his back. He has a YouTube channel called Momentum, and he has guys like Yasiel Puig and other players who go on there, and the channel is called Momentum because he's trying to get a bunch of baseball fans on that channel, and then those guys like Puig get on there and they do a couple videos and they try to move everyone onto their platform so they can slowly start building a name for themselves.
Yeah, Trevor Bauer's really been the spearhead for a lot of the controversial topics when it comes to Rob Manfred and the MLB. But it's just really interesting. Miss is the perfect word. There's been multiple times when MLB is just not really stood up to par, and this situation is particularly interesting because you mentioned to me before we came into this that you think that the league will be left in the dust if they don't resolve this. I mean, if you look at, I mean, just think about the NBA and all the different shoe deals. Like, while Nike themselves, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, whatever, probably have some kind of partnership with the NBA, these players have their own personal logos through those teams, and especially in the NBA, apart from even the NFL, players are really, really strong on their personal brands. And this is a big topic today in today's world, and it's definitely something important. And the stance that MLB is taking right now is I think, like you said, I think it's dangerous for them.
Here's what I think the MLB really needs to do if they want to grow their sport, because things like the NBA is going like this, It is just shooting up. The NFL's always been up there, but the NBA is really starting to compete with the NFL, just due to the fact that the NFL players have helmets and uniforms on, so it's hard to see them or whatever. But a lot of people know the big name guys, stuff like that. The NBA, you're seeing the guys constantly. They don't got nothing on. You know who Luka Doncic is. He's on SportsCenter every night. LaMelo Ball's on there every night. Baseball highlights aren't on there all the time, even during the season. What the MLB needs to do is they need to do what basketball did. Players like LeBron, Jordan, Kyrie Irving, all of them, they have specific brands to themselves. They have their shoes, they have their clothes, they have all that stuff. The MLB needs to do the same thing. They need to be pushing those brands. They can be breakoffs of Nike, Under Armour, stuff like that. They need instead of Louisville Slugger, players need to partner with them, have their own bats or something. Have your own shoes. Even Mike Trout should have a gloving line. He needs to have Mike Trout gloves.
Yep.
So kids can be, oh, I want those, I want that.
Yeah.
So that's what I think they need to do that.
Yeah, I think now's the time where the league really needs to lean into this stuff rather than take a stance against it. And I think it's interesting if you look at last season when they were trying to figure out what the deal was going to be with games. I mean, the players were asking forever that they just want to play, man. I mean, the MLB was just doing all this stuff. They were trying to prorate salaries, which is necessary to a point. But, man, the guys just wanted to get on the field. And there's just been a lot of breakdown. I mean, MLB is I believe I'm not mistaken to say that they've had the most strikes in history, and there's just been a long line of disconnect between players and executives in the MLB, and I just think this is an important time for the MLB. I mean, their fan engagement and popularity is dying compared to other sports, and right now I think it's important for them to lean into this stuff like Trevor Bauer, and instead of saying, "Hey, don't do this," say, "Hey, we want you to be the face of our league, and if this is what you got to do to increase our viewership, then go for it, because it's good for both of them, really."
Yeah, the reasons the NBA is getting so big is they're promoting those players, like I was saying, Luka and all that. Kids nowadays, or as always, they look up to those guys. They want to watch those guys every night. They want to watch Giannis. They want to watch Kevin Durant, Kyrie. They want to watch them because they're fun to watch. Mm-hmm. You don't see, too many kids being, "Oh, I want to watch this player," and like Javier Baez is a very flashy player. They need to take advantage of his flashy plays, get him on commercials, do this. Tatis will be the make and break of this next generation on whether or not MLB is going to go like this or they're going to go like this.
Yeah. If they don't
less and less fans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's time for the MLB to make a switch on their stance and to lean into the player branding, I think.
Yeah, because kids are coming out, younger kids, they don't really bond with a team as much. It's more the certain players. So kids aren't just going to go out there to watch the game. They're going to go out there to watch Bryce Harper. They're going to go out there to watch Trevor Bauer pitch. Mm-hmm. So if you build those players' reputations up, you're going to get more viewers. Oh, I want to go watch Joey Votto play.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. That will bring more kids and fans into the crowd.
Yeah. Nowadays, kids don't fall in love with the game as much as they do the people in the game, because they have access to all this social media and stuff. And the more that players are allowed to brand themselves outside of the MLB, I think it'll bring more people in. And like we've said, you're definitely seeing it in the NBA. And it doesn't really make sense to me why the MLB is so against it. I think that's going to wrap us up for this week. I really like this week's episode. I like this. This is definitely something that I think we're going to want to do more. And in addition to all the prediction, preview, just overview stuff, but taking a deep dive into some of these things is really important, especially in today's world and the way a lot of these sports are going. There's a lot of topics that need to be covered that maybe get plenty of press, maybe don't. And, yeah, but stuff like this is great, and I'm really happy about this. And thanks for checking us out again this week, and hope to see you next week. Thanks for checking out the Up in the Nosebleeds podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter and TikTok. Catch you next week. We'll be up here in the Nosebleeds.